Okay, come on. Hi guys, I'm Zoe from Student Life, and we've been doing live tours throughout the week, but today we're going to be answering some of your questions. Right now I'm joined by Kathy and Yannick from ResLife, as well as Vicky and Ben from Accommodation. So first we'll be going through some of the questions that you've been asking throughout the week as the questions are rolling in. So please do be asking your questions so that we can answer everything now. First question is, will everyone know what accommodation they should be staying in, and what information will they receive in their emails?
So if you booked accommodation with us, you should have received an email this week which tells you all of your arrivals instructions and your room allocations. So should have completed your accommodation induction, and then once you have done that, you should have received your arrival booking link, which will tell you when you can arrive to your accommodation site. And then you should have been able to book your arrival slot and see which rooms you are staying in. If you have not received this, do let us know and we can try and get this all sorted for you. So do not panic if you've not received this yet.
And don't panic if you've asked us a question, because there's an awful lot of you receiving these emails. There are an awful lot of you who are asking questions, and there's only one Vicky. But she has a team around her as well, with colleagues who are also doing that. But it just takes us a time at this point of the year to get through all of those. So if you can just be patient with us, we'll get through them as absolutely quickly as we can.
The next question is, a lot of people are asking about toasters, air fryers, and other appliances, especially like in the kitchen. Are those allowed, or is there a specific way that they can bring those?
Items that are electrically safe are fine to bring. The thing you need to be aware of is that toasters are the most common item to set the fire alarm off, because people will leave it and not stay with it. So that's an annoyance to everybody. At the same time, if somebody was to bring an old appliance from home, what would happen is it would trip the electrical circuit, because our electrical circuits are designed for safety. And we would quite soon find out what was the wrong appliance and that there was a problem with it. So we'd be trying to find out whose toaster it was or something of that nature. An air fryer for me has very little oil, if any. So again, that's an electrical appliance that needs to be safe. So if it's a new appliance, then it's likely to be okay. But generally for all appliances, I think our average now is something in the region of each student brings 9 or 10 electrical appliances, which is an awful lot if we were wanting to do the testing program and then monitor. So the systems are very safe, and at sometimes annoyingly safe. So we will respond to get power back on and things like that. We have a 24/7 team here to be able to do that. But we need people to think about being considerate about how they manage their things. So kind of problems that we experience with that are hair tongs that are left on, toasters that are left to get smoky and the toast was black. And these all have a chance of setting the fire alarm off. So just be careful about those things that you bring. But you can bring them as long as they're electrically safe is the answer.
What about bigger things like a mini fridge?
Well, a mini fridge, for me, the advice I would give is make sure that it'll fit in your room. So we have lots of different designs of room, and some of them you will find that they would fit under the desk. Okay, they need to be, I would say, when we talk about a mini fridge, we're talking about a 1 cubic foot fridge. It's a square. And if you can fit it in without compromising your space in the room, then that's okay.
Okay. What about parking? Is there car parking available for students at the university?
Would you like to start with that one, Vicky?
So there's very limited car parking at the University of Lincoln. So the only accommodation site that offers car parking for students is Valentine Court, but even then there is only very limited spaces. None of our other residences offer car parking at the accommodation site, but there is a student car parking permit that you can apply for, but it only allows you to park in designated zones on campus between 4 p.m. and 3 a.m. So most of the car parking is external to the university.
Yeah, the university has a policy that there is no overnight car parking on campus. Now, part of that is because we're in the middle of the city centre and we're a campus university. So there are many of the authorities that might talk about car parking for the university that would say a student does not need a vehicle to be a student in Lincoln, and therefore most student accommodations in the city will not have car parking options either. So if you are planning to bring a car, make sure you have a solution before you arrive, and then you should be okay.
Can we have Radiator drying racks? Yeah, can we bring Radiator drying racks to our rooms?
So let's we're going to that. I mean, in some respect, that sounds like an electrical item.
Because you can get the heated drying racks
Yeah.
as well, right? As well
Okay.
as normal drying racks.
So again, if it's reasonably new, wouldn't expect to be a problem with it. Again, if it's not reasonably new or it has a fault with it, it will start to trip out systems. And in that example, where toasters and kettles and things like that might trip out the kitchen, this may well be tripping out the room. We also have our sustainability team to think about when you're adding electrical things on, but they're always around us, reminding us how we can help with our sustainability program.
I know that there's also the plastic ones, like a drying rack stand, but there's small ones that you can hang over. So those aren't electrical; those are just small drying racks. So I think those should be fine. But also you have to make sure that they actually fit over your radiator. I know I brought one that didn't, so please be cautious of that as well. Is there a laundrette on campus, or will we need to go out and find one?
So each accommodation site has its designated laundry facility. For example, St Mark's has 2 on site, Lincoln Courts has 1, Signet Wharf has 1. Each accommodation site has at least 1, apart from Valentine Court, which has a washer dryer in each kitchen.
Yes, we did a bunch of tours this week. So we did mention the laundrette in almost all of our tours, how close those are to each accommodation. So if you want to check that out, they will be uploaded on the sites.
I saw there was a question about going back to the car parking.
Mm-hmm.
How would it work for moving in day? Will there be space for them to park? How would that work? I know that each site will be different though.
Vicky is in the team that would actually control it, but I'll add some experience to the comment before we go to that. You will have information about dates and times of arrival. At that point, you need to follow our instructions. We are trying to bring some 4,000 people into a small area of a city, as much as other sites also from some of the external accommodations will be arriving at the same time. If you follow our instructions, then it should be a reasonably simple operation with a reasonable amount of time to get your things into your room and then start to settle in. But following the advice and information that we give to you pre and on the day will help you an awful lot. But some of that information will be detailed that Vicky might be able to add to.
So on arrivals, you will only be able to bring 1 car on site at a time. So at Valentine Court, where offers the car parking, you will only be able to have 1 car on the site per time. So if that is your car and your parents' car, you won't be able to have them both. And then the way we have staggered the arrivals, you'll be able to park in your allocated spot from your designated arrival day. So once you are there, you'll be able to have your car on the site.
Someone's asked, how much would laundry cost?
I think it's £2.80 for a wash cycle and £1.80 for a drying cycle.
It does change over time, so I believe slightly now too.
It occasionally fluctuates, but the last time I looked, that was what it was.
Yes. So just be ready for that. It'll come.
There is an annual increase that builds into that as well. So because some of the sites started on different dates, it could be the escalation through that. So it usually is an even number, so it could be 290 and 190, but in that region, definitely.
Do bear with us. A lot of you guys are asking questions, so we'll get to as many as we can as we go. Someone else has asked, what happens if I lose my key?
Well,
Depending on accommodation, of course.
Well, obviously, there's different situations.
Yeah,
in
it
there.
depends. So, like the
so-
key card places is a lot different from the key one. So,
Okay, so whether this depends when you lose your key. So we have a lot of our accommodation that is accessed by a key card, and that will open the front door to the building, your apartment, and your room. And generally, we can get them replaced at most times of the day and evening. If we can't, as long as you've got an ID with you, we can let you into your room. And then the next day we'll be able to support you to go through a key card, which there will be a charge for replacement. Lincoln Court still has keys and electric key fobs. So there are two things to pay for in that sense, which could be the key fob, the card, and the postbox key as well, and the room key and the apartment door key. So Lincoln Court's keys are different to many of the other things because they're actually physical keys. So again, with an ID, we can replace things if we have a spare of that particular lock, or we can get you into the room. So in the morning, we can then start to support the situation. There is a charge for lost keys.
yes, we did cover that.
Yeah, have a look at all of our
Yes.
tours.
Our tours as well. Is there a date for when Valentine Court car park spaces will be available to buy?
I believe at the moment it is due to go out on the 1st of September, unless Ben knows anything different to provide you at this stage.
It is. So Vicky and I will have had a conversation because we both work in different sections of the accommodation service, and we manage the car parking. The team that Vicky works with sends it out. So the bit that we're going to say is usually is around the 1st of September. We will receive all applications. The Valentine Court has a priority car parking schedule for students on paramedic, nursing, midwifery courses, and then any balance will go to a first come, first served. So you want to be watching for an application email on or around about the 1st of September.
Someone's asked, how is Lincoln Court structured? Is it in a numerical order or random?
So Lincoln Courts have 17 buildings, which are numbered 1 to 17. They're not necessarily, or they go around in a bit of a J, upside down J.
Yes, yeah.
So Court 1 is the furthest away from the Signet Wharf office, the flyover, if you've been to Lincoln, and that comes down from 1 to the flyover, Court 12, 13 across the road and back, if that helps that person.
Can I book for a 1 month accommodation and decide later?
So at the moment, we're not taking short-term bookings, but if you contact us, we can direct you to the relevant teams within the university and outside the university that may be able to assist you.
And for those application type of questions, accommodation at lincoln.ac.uk.
Is there a lift within the accommodation, especially Gateway?
Yes.
Quick and easy.
The only one that doesn't have a lift there is Lincoln Courts.
Yes.
All 17 of them.
All
don't
17.
Yes.
Is there a vehicle height restriction for move-in day at St. Mark's?
No.
There's no.
No, we just advise that obviously to be mindful because we are going to be expecting a lot of arrivals. So the larger the vehicle, the more space it is going to take up, and we can't guarantee how close we'll be able to get you parked to your allocated accommodation. So just bear that in mind.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that would give us any concern about that at all. While I just try and think of all the entryways and outward ways. Yes. When we did it last year, we still had a lot of construction work going on for what is known as Block A. And all that scaffolding material is now gone. So I think that no, we wouldn't have a concern other than, if this is a 40-foot trailer we're talking about, then please tell us.
Yeah. Obviously, when moving to Lincoln or to uni especially, there is a lot of stuff that you feel like you need, But once you get into week 2, 3, you'll realize that you're not using half of it. So do be mindful and do check out a lot of our sites where we talk about what you actually do need to bring with you, so you don't end up bringing a bunch of stuff that aren't actually allowed. Are my friends allowed to sleep over?
Our accommodation agreement that you will have accepted talks about limited periods of time for a guest to stay over. And it's sort of a couple of days. It's what we would, the intention of the phrase is about what we might consider to be a weekend. But it does require you to be responsible for the actions of that person, and that they wouldn't necessarily interfere or disrupt with the other people who are living in the apartment with you. So making sure that everybody knows that somebody has a guest staying over is helpful. It's not something that, because of the number of rooms we've got and the number of front doors we get, that we actually monitor. What we monitor is if there is a problem. So there will be many people who have had many friends visit them and stay over that we've had no interaction with at all. But where we have such things, where the visitor caused a fire alarm, the visitor allowed other visitors in, then we have our own technician team that are here 24/7. We have a security team that are here 24/7, who are supported on an evening by a response team. We will react if we have disturbances that we have to measure. And you, as the host of the visitor, may well be responsible for that. So it's just being considerate to everybody, please. Could I just say that we are in the new Residence Life Lounge? And it's really looking really good. I like it.
So do be sure to check it out during Freshers Week as well. Don't forget to follow ResLife as well.
Yeah, because obviously all the things we've discussed, such as losing your key card or anything like that, what we all often get is you can speak to us as well. We operate in the evenings from 6 p.m. until midnight with our phone call service. You can also text us and email. All of these details will be online. But our email is reslife@lincoln.ac.uk. So if for any reason you do not know security's phone number, you can save our phone number in there as well. You can speak to us, and our team will signpost you and tell you what to do, what the process is, and who to contact, as well as a lot of your accommodation issues. So if there is any problems you are having and you want to speak to someone else, we are also an additional service you can speak to. And as Ben just pointed out, we are filming this from our brand new lounge room. And our Instagram, we've done a little video clip on our Instagram today, just showing it off because it is brand new. So it will be open when you arrive in September to be used in the evenings from 6 until about 10ish. Yeah, do follow us on our Instagram at UniLincoln_ResLife.
Yes, perfect. Someone's asked, is there designated smoking areas at Lincoln Courts?
Not in all places. You definitely need to be smoking outside of the building, away from the front doors, and considering the windows of rooms that may be on the ground floor. So we can have, there are people who will quite happily go outside of the building to smoke. That's helpful. But then they might gather, and then other people are on the ground floor. So it's a bit like visitors. It's about being considerate of where you are and trying not to have creating too much of a noise if you're talking with other people there, to be considerate late on at night to other people.
Someone's asked, are you told which cupboards you're in the kitchen area, or is it a first come first serve?
Yeah,
it
is more or less a first come,
it's a first come first serve, but hopefully you do have some considerate housemates that are like, oh, I need, like Yannick would need a lot taller, a higher shelf. So being like, okay, I can't have like 2 bottom ones. Maybe can I have 2 top ones and you have 1 bottom? It's talking with your housemates, but most of the time it is kind of first come first serve.
Don't worry, on that first day when you move in, when you meet everyone, you'll just be able to speak to everyone. And there are plenty of cupboards. And as we've shown in all of our tours this week, there are in the fridge as well, in the freezer, all the shelves. There's plenty for everyone. It's proportionate for the amount of people that are in there. And a good way to already start having those conversations is in the induction pack of your accommodation offer. There will be a link to the ResLife Facebook pages. And in those pages, you can already ask everyone what flat they're in, what apartment, and you can already start talking about what you're going to bring, what time you're arriving. And as I always say, because people will bring lots of the same things, such as 10 fairy liquid bottles and that stuff like that. So just have that chat just to see, so you don't bring all the same things.
Absolutely great advice. For me, from a sort of how we help and support people, day one does bring all of those kind of concerns and anxious moments, but sort of as it sort of settles in at the end of day one, everybody's fitted everything in, mums and dads have got hugs and byes and kisses and things like that, and university starts.
Mm-hmm. You'll settle in way faster than you think you will. Once you get here, you definitely, it's a bit daunting being away from home, but within a couple hours, I would say, you just kind of be like, okay, this is it now. So no problems on that. Someone's asked, is there still time to look around accommodation before term starts?
So currently some of our show flats are shut because they're being changed around and redecorated and kind of stuff like that. But if you contact us at accommodation@lincoln.ac.uk, we can see if we have any availability to show them before you arrive, but we can't promise it at this point, I'm afraid. But there is the 360 tours, and these guys have done some fantastic tours all week, so there's definitely a chance to see the accommodation, even if you can't get here in person.
And the only thing I would add to that is that if we can offer you the opportunity to see something, it's likely to be an example. It's not going to be your room. Unless your room is in the example, which has happened to me before. I'm sorry, this is just an example, just so you can get an idea what it is, but I've been allocated this. Okay, well, that's fine. We can go with that.
Someone's asked if they can see any photos of the non-ensuite accommodation in Lincoln Courts.
I think there are some.
There should be some online. If not, if you email us, we can arrange some pictures to be sent to you, because I believe the sales and marketing manager has an abundance of photos somewhere.
And just, I know the photographs are going to be far better than what I'm going to say, but the non-ensuite apartments are very generous in their room sizes. There is a wash hand basin in every bedroom. There are 2 shower rooms and a separate toilet in each of the apartments, then with a lounge kitchen, the same as the ensuite apartments. So if the time's gone by where some people have asked me of where would I want to live in all of this accommodation we have, then actually I would pick a non-ensuite room on campus, because it gives me space, and there's a lot of space to live. But we do have lots of people who very much prefer to have an ensuite room, and that's not about that. But that's one of the big features of the non-ensuite rooms, that actually you end up with more space for yourself.
Someone's asked, are communal areas cleaned? So I'm assuming like kitchen, TV area, those. Is there a cleaner for those?
No. We do support our larger apartments. So we've got some apartments that are from 16 rooms to 23 rooms, and they would receive a general visit on a weekly basis for corridors and services. It's not about doing student items, but it's just making sure that everything is working in a large apartment, where sometimes it's a challenge early on for a large group of people to start working all of those things out, who's doing what, when, why, and where. Other than that, from the front door of your apartment is the apartment group's responsibility. And we wouldn't put cleaners in there ordinarily unless we thought we had a problem, where we might, and therefore we would be also talking about the cost of that service. And it is a challenge for everybody to have the same view in terms of how we all manage our own kitchen spaces and our own fridge spaces and things like that. Consideration. We get an awful lot of inquiries about this kind of subject, and we try and engage with people and mediate and ask people to be a bit more considerate, or ask people to be a bit more accepting. Sometimes we have to help people understand why it's a problem as well. So talk to the likes of ourselves, or my kind of team, which is the technicians team that you will see very often, or the site teams. Vicky works in one of the receptions, and there are other administrators at the other receptions and the receptions team. The ResLife team, this is the kind of thing that they're absolutely here for, to say, can we help you get your problem to the right place? But consideration for all is the sort of watchword, if you can keep thinking about that.
Anything good?
No, I think just going on what Ben says, please do speak to us. Please ring us, email, text us. As you know, someone here, that's Kathy, who's one of our ResLife assistants. Someone who would be on the other side of the phone if you need anything. And what would you do, Kathy, if they phoned you?
Yeah, so usually anyone can call from 6 p.m. to midnight, as we mentioned earlier, and it just depends on what happens when you call. So, for example, if you find that you're locked out of your room because the battery in your door is dead, which has happened before, then I would probably assist you with trying to get the right people there, which is me essentially providing you a number to security, and then they'd be able to send someone up quickly to fix the mistake as soon as possible.
Someone's asked, can we have command strips on the actual walls in courts?
We provide an awful lot of pin boards. So I get the principle that command strips work. But there's a lot of things that happens to us in student accommodation that is at home. There is often somebody who's supervising and keeping an eye on all of these things. So, there are people who use command strips for lots of reasons and lots of things, and then they'll try and take them off in a hurry, and then they'll leave a mark. Then we have a problem with damage. So it's not a no, but we would expect you to manage it. So as an example of one that I had to get involved in this particular year, the individual had a particular interest in very small LED strip lighting, and it circled his room and his desk and his bookshelves and his wardrobe, and he left it for us. And that's where we get to me not wanting to say a straightforward yes, because command strips used in the right way are okay. So, but that's when there are potential recovery of costs for your actions within your own room, because you're responsible for the things within your own room. So just take a little bit of care with that. But we do have an awful lot of pinboard space as well.
Yeah, you could always put. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that, like, you've got lots of hanging space if that's like a problem. There's like hanging space in the bathrooms. There's hanging space, like you've got the coat hangers and stuff. So I'm sure that, and a full length mirror. So there's not really a lot.
And you'll find that in a lot of the rooms, there's plenty of space, especially because I know you want to make it homely. The sort of things to put up, like posters and that sort of stuff. There's plenty of shelving, plenty of surfaces to put anything you might want up to make your room a bit more homely, as well as ornaments and that sort of thing. So, surfaces.
Yeah. Someone's asked, I haven't found anyone for my accommodation yet. Are all the rooms allocated, or did I find myself alone?
Ooh, good question. So most of the rooms are allocated. If you haven't found anyone yet, we can't give you the information for GDPR, but just keep an eye out, because all the room allocations have gone out, so people just might not have had a chance to log on yet. But I'm not going to 100% confirm you're not on your own, but it is very unlikely that you will not be by yourself. There will be other students in the same apartment as you.
Also, just to add to that as well, like I said earlier, we have the Facebook pages for the ResLife team. So if you are in that, if that's what you mean by you can't find anyone yet, it's also because every day we get a lot of people trying to join that, so we have to accept you and to do bear with us as well, and as well as accommodation for allocating everyone. So like I said, we can't confirm, but if it might be that they haven't accepted in the Facebook chat yet, so hopefully we'll find someone there.
And as many of you are experiencing, as Yannick describes there, these are closed Facebook groups, so that you can have a conversation with people who are living in your buildings, your environment, in your community, and that's actually quite important to managing that, and lots of safety, lots of building and developing community, and therefore the team from the ResLife team will look at those and try and keep up to date with them as fast as possible.
Someone's asked, can I bring incense or candles if I keep an eye on them?
Okay, so serious. It is serious. It's just a jump share. Anything that burns, no. It's as simple as that. If we see a decorative candle, we might even ask you to move it. The fire safety regime is increasing by changes to the law from some of the very sad events that have happened over recent years, and lots of those laws and legislation have been changing, and therefore we are tasked with monitoring what is called sleeping accommodation very carefully. So anybody who we think has lit a candle or lit incense, there is likelihood that there may well be some form of mini investigation communication between people within my team about maintaining the safe environment to be in. So no candles, anything that burns a flame, no.
Someone asked, what do I do if I have messy or disruptive housemates? Will accommodation services step in to help?
Yes.
And obviously, the one thing that we do is you can speak to us.
Yeah. It's kind of the whole point we're here, a little bit, not just for those things, but we are trying to make it as easy as a process as possible, especially during a time when it feels uncomfortable, like getting into a fight with your flatmate or something like that. So there are definitely different ways as to how we do it. You can either email us, you can call us. There's a variety of ways to communicate, and especially if you want to be discreet about it, we are also we take that into consideration as well, and we try to communicate with you as best as possible. But it comes down to what's the circumstance, and from there we work with the team to get you the best solution.
As students, we all understand the issues that you have when you first come, but just make sure the first thing is just always speak to your flatmates.
Yeah.
And that helps us help you help everybody. So we understand that at times it can be a difficult thing to say, excuse me, I don't like the way you're doing that. Now, that other person might not know why you don't like that, and that other person might think this sounds a really strange question. Why am I being asked about that? And there are lots of variations on this theme as to why some people may have had a challenge with how some person did something, or how somebody adjusted the plates in their cupboard or moved things in the fridge. That's about us trying to help you develop a community with people around you, Vicky and the reception teams and their locations, our site teams, the ResLife team, and email communication to ask questions in the first instance so we can signpost and support. Trying to communicate with us is the best thing in the first place. Keeping it in and experiencing the problem to continue is not the best way to do it.
If we don't know, we can't help. So always come and speak to us, and we'll try to help wherever we can.
It's always best to, especially if it goes past hey, I didn't like this, okay, sorted. If it gets to a dangerous situation, it's best to ask someone rather than taking matters into your own hands, because it could, make things a lot worse.
Remember, when you speak to the ResLife team, they are a team of students, so they 100% understand everything you're going for or are currently experiencing now. So if you want that more informal chat as well, happily just ring us, and we're happy just to chat about it. And then from there, we can say, look, we can signpost you. You can contact both Vicky's team, Ben's team, and they will assist you where possible.
And even reaching out to us, it's an opportunity to document it without anything moving forward. Because if it turns out that everything's fine, that's great. But if it turns out that it's not fine, then it allows us to provide more help for you later on.
Someone's asked, what's the best advice for moving day?
Moving in day, be prepared. Obviously, my moving day, and we've got very different experiences. Yours is very different, especially for the international students.
Well, you take the national students, I'll take the international.
So I would say best advice would be also be prepared beforehand in terms of getting everything you need. And the one thing I would say is also food as well. Obviously, nothing fresh, obviously, for the fridge and the freezer. But I always say, I remember when I moved in, there was no pasta in any of the shops. So simple things like that. You don't want to be spending your first day running around the shops, and it is a very stressful day. It is also quite an emotional day. That last moment when my mum's walking away crying, all those sort of stuff. So be prepared. But also, once you've moved in, once you've got everything into your room, take your time. Obviously, that'll be initial first move, and I'll direct you to your space. Just get everything into your room, move all the boxes, sort the car out, and then you can take your time, get the room to exactly how you want it, and always bring your home comforts with you. So anything from pillows to little ornaments, teddy bears even. We always say stuff like that. And photos. I always say photos are a very important one. A lot of people get cushions with images of their dogs on. So stuff like that as well.
So my experience is different because I had to travel with 2 suitcases over the Atlantic Ocean, and that is my life. So because of that, my first day arriving in Lincoln was dropping my stuff as quickly as possible inside the flat and realizing what are the first things I need for day one, because I couldn't travel with pillows, comforter, a lamp, things like that you would usually just drive in. So very quickly you become friends with the neighbors around you. What is the place that you go and get pillows and linens and things like that, because the names are different here than from my own country. So learning about Wilco and Poundland and Primark it was definitely a plus, and just grabbing the things I needed for just the first night, just to sleep comfortably. Because there's only so much you have, and then from there you can kind of take a little bit of a beat, kind of get yourself organized, talk to the people around you, and then start to build the room that you actually want.
So yeah, I would say that, as well as I'm sure that a lot of accommodation has like time allocated. So not everybody's piling on top of each other, but do be patient with everyone. I mean, a lot of people come with tons of boxes, so you don't want to, fight someone over the lift or something. Just be patient. Everybody's trying to get in. Everybody's trying to get into their rooms. I'm sure a lot of people have time. I came all the way from London. My parents drove down. So we tried to get an earlier slot because it is quite a bit, it's about a 5-hour drive. But even when there were people coming in, we were a lot more courteous to everybody, making sure that, if we had gone through the lift about 3 times, we let someone else go and things like that.
Do you have any view on that, Vicky?
I would say be prepared. Make sure you arrive in your arrival slot, because we're quite strict on the time slots when you actually bring the car. So after the hour, you will be asked to move. So like Yannick says, get everything in your room, move the car, get everything into the room, and then focus on settling into the accommodation. But also, everyone's in the same situation. It's a lot of people's first time away from home. So I always say, like, bring a board game, bring a box of chocolates or something, leave your door open, and kind of just start chatting to everyone, because it's a great opportunity to meet new people, and you might have met them on the Facebook groups or through everything, and then it's just a chance to meet and get to know each other in person for the first time. So yeah.
Someone's asked, what if I'm away for a week? Do I have to tell anyone about that?
No, we don't. Actually, the appropriate period is 30 days, because that affects insurance. It could affect the insurance that you get as a part of the package that you have an inclusive possessions insurance. We might as well dwell on that for a moment or two, because we've got the same question. So when you accept your accommodation offer from the university, you do get an inclusive possessions insurance for your room, and you will get the details of that through your induction. We would definitely recommend you checking out the website to register, for 2 reasons. One, if you never had to use it, the company that we use, which is Ensley Insurance Services, is very much student-based and student-focused. And there are a lot of advantages and deals that you may be able to source as a student. The other thing is that you have any particular items that might be outside of a basic package that we provide for you. There's a limited cost value for computer equipment, photographic equipment. We now have people bringing musical instruments. We have people doing very much serious sports things, and there's a lot of sports kit around, the kind of thing. You can build up a little package on that to actually insure your possessions. One of the ones that they used to be between, I think it was lecture and halls or something like that, probably had a clever title. So your laptop or your tablet or your phone was covered between the university and your lecture theatre or the library or things like that. So there are lots of opportunities that if you register with that detail once you get the information in your induction, it's just a good idea to know about it.
Yeah, I would say the same thing because I have a musical instrument and mine's quite an expensive one. So just make sure that you check what is actually covered on what is providing that, and then what you need on top of that as well.
Someone's asked, how many apartments are in each court, each thing in Lincoln Court, and how many are in each apartment? So, like, how many rooms and then how many apartments? I think is the question.
This is if you would like me to be smart. Okay, so the average number of rooms in an apartment is 6. There are 5-bedroom apartments and a few 4-bedroom apartments and 1 or 2 3-bedroom apartments. The next average number is 8, and then some 7s within courts, 13 to 17. So generally the main is 6 bedrooms. If whoever's asked the question knows where they are, I can tell you the answer for that location, just to prove I'm smart. If you wanted to put that in just your apartment and building, I can tell you the answer.
Are apartments 13 and 14 on the same floor at St. Mark's?
Yes.
There we go.
There you go.
Yes.
He's on it.
It's my site, I should know.
Sorry, we are trying to get through every question. What if I don't like my room? Can I move?
So we kind of give students a 2-week cooling off period once they move in to kind of try to settle in and see if you like your room, if you don't like your room. After this point, you can contact us and we can check the availability that we have across our sites to see if we can swap you to a different room. We can't guarantee it because it all depends on the students and availability. But if you contact us after kind of 2 weeks of you settling in and moving into university, we can let you know what options we have available. And depending on what the situation is as well, you can always speak to the ResLife team or us and we can advise on alternative solutions if it's depending on the issue.
Yeah, please do give us a call because there's could be various reasons why you might want to move, and we might be able to give an insight on how to handle it, a different department or who else to signpost to. But like I said, we will always help you, and if you need communication and accommodation, we can provide that.
I think I would want to add there that for people who are coming in to appreciate that we don't have slots available in every little location to be able to cope with all of the kind of requests that we would get for all of the reasons that we could get. So, I will have experienced hundreds of reasons why people want to remove in day 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And sometimes we have to say, this is not something we can do. Now, we would always assess with you if we can hold that position until we had a space available. There is always a lot of movement at that kind of time for lots of reasons. But even if, for instance, somebody was deciding that they'd move to another room that was available, and that was the kind of place that you wanted to move in, they've got to be able to move out. We've got to be able to do a quick clean on that room, and then you get to the chance to move in, which sort of just add days and time to the period. So it's not a yes, we can do it tomorrow. We do need at times a bit of time to make sure the space is available and the space is prepared.
Someone's asked, how often are there fire drills?
How often are there fire drills? Okay, there's two answers.
Two types, yeah.
Two answers to this one at all. The university will do 2 formal fire drills within the academic year, unless a particular development or building within the development fails the fire drill. We would then repeat it. However, for lots of reasons, like toasters, which I've already mentioned, then people get to practice fire drills sometimes quite a fair bit. So, for a building to be considerate of its building, because a number of our buildings are one out, all out. We've got some new systems within the likes of St. Mark's that it would just be the floor of activation that would have to come out first. But if you were in Signet Wharf, for instance, then the whole of the building would have to come out. So trying to be considerate about those things that might activate the fire alarm is really, really helpful.
As some of us have learned from experience,
That was
not looking at anyone,
unnecessary.
always simple things: extract a fan on, windows open when you're cooking. Be mindful. Do not walk away from your cooking something. Don't be silly, something like that. Just keep an eye on it.
Don't feel ashamed, because sometimes you leave the window open, you open the hallway door, and you have the exhaust on as high as possible. And sometimes the bacon just shouldn't be cooked on the hob. It needs to go in the oven. And you should just accept that. And it's a learning mistake. And it's okay. People forgive you. Sometimes.
Another top tip is not to spray your deodorant directly at the sensor. because
yeah,
that can
don't
set the
try
alarm
doing
off.
I don't imagine that people we do.
You'll be surprised.
We do get fire alarm activations where there is a heavy amount of deodorant in the room. I always assumed that that's just somebody not actually going. But yeah, the point is just be cautious. You can see them. You'll see them even better this year because they'll have a bit of an identifying thing on them. But yes, just being cautious avoids that circumstance where people might be saying, "Oh, it was you."
Will the university set up individual Facebook group chats for us, for our housemates and such?
So like I said, so if you're with the University of Lincoln Accommodation, for the induction package get for your allocation, it will send you a link to one of the ResLife Facebook groups. Like I said, do bear with us while we accept you into that group. So within that, well, what happens is a lot of people, a lot of friends will ask, "Oh, where is everyone living?" And then you can go off and create your own subgroup chats and get to know your flatmates even more. And that's the best way to get to know everyone, see who you're living with, and again, agree what to bring, what not to bring, what your common likes are, what TV shows you like, for example, so you're not arguing what to watch. Just simple things like that.
Some of the questions that are being asked we have answered previously. So we'll just quickly run through them. Laundry services, how much does that normally cost?
Currently, it's
$280 to $290 if it's washing, and $180 to $190 if it's drying.
and like we said earlier, they can change. So when you come, just keep an eye on that.
I'm arriving with a van. Is that okay?
Generally, yes.
Cool.
What we said there is that if as long as it's not a big van and a trailer, transit van styles, Luton van styles, we've coped with them. Depending on where you're going, if you think it's a big van, then potentially email accommodation at Lincoln to say, "I'm due at such and such on this day, on this time. This is the vehicle I'm coming in." Then the team who are going to be managing the car parks can have an idea and think, "There's a good spot for that van."
Yes. A lot of people are asking about their specific apartments, on what floor there are. We are trying to get through a lot more of the general questions. If there is time, we will come back and answer those.
You can test mine and Ben's knowledge if you really want.
Where is packages delivered for Lincoln Courts?
So they will all be delivered to the Signet Wharf reception, and then once we have received them, if they're taken behind the desk, you'll receive an email from us. If they are small enough to fit in your letterbox, then they will go in the little cubbyhole letterboxes that are also in the Signet Wharf reception, but you won't be notified if something goes in the letterbox.
Is there any flexibility to move to a different flat before we start university?
If you contact us at accommodation@lincoln.ac.uk, we can see what availability we have to try and swap your allocation, but we can't guarantee this.
Is there room checks?
Yes, there are 2 to 3 formal room inspections that you will be given information about. We check for safety in all of our locations as all of our teams work around it. So there are some things that are called compliance checks where we have to do water temperature testing. We have to check that fire alarm detectors are uncovered and things like that. So some visits will be a formal inspection. Other visits might be a works task like a compliance check. that person will have an element of training to look out for signs of concern. But formally, there are 2, sometimes 3 inspections of your room.
Are microwaves provided?
Yes?
Yep. Are there full-length mirrors in Lincoln Courts?
No.
But you can easily just pop to the shop when you're here, and then easily most of them are able to hang over the doors. Well.
Yeah,
Just be careful.
there's ones
You can't
from
leave any
Walker
Don't leave
that are
any
pretty
marks.
good as well.
But just be careful of my door frames.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what I meant by don't leave any marks.
Do washing machines need cash, or can you use contactless payment?
It's all through the Circuit Laundry app. So it's order online. There are card. You can get the laundry card as well. So I believe you pay £2 to get the laundry card as well. But usually we do find it's much easier just to use the Circuit Laundry app, and you can do it all through online.
Mm-hmm. Am I able to move to change my move-in day at slash time?
If you contact us, we can check the availability and see what we can offer. We can't guarantee it because everyone is obviously booking their slots at the moment, so it's difficult to say what is available. But if you email us at accommodation@lincoln.ac.uk, we can try to be as accommodating as possible.
Is there a certain time we have to be back to accommodation at night because of security reasons?
Oh, yes. Yes. Everybody's checked in for 10 p.m.
If you're not in, you're sleeping outside.
Sorry. It's the end. We're just finishing off this year, so we've had a long run in the summer. No, there isn't. We deem you all to be adults, very sensible, and very considerate of each other. As I said earlier on, we have, certainly on campus, our 24/7 security team. On evenings, they're supported by what we call a response team. And we have our technicians team that are there about repairs and support for fire alarm activities and things like that. So, again, be sensible, be careful. If you have any concerns about those times and things, or even how that might affect you when others come in later than you, ResLife team, it's a great kind of question for them to help share their experience. And then, does that mean I'm with the wrong people? If I'm one who stays out late, others staying up, and back to the guys who work around Vicky as well, it's about, is this something that might work with a room change? So again, it's about you being considerate, you helping us help you.
Just be careful for everyone around. If you are coming in a little later, don't slam doors, don't be making a bunch of noise in the kitchen. Maybe 2 a.m. isn't the time to be cooking a full feast, things like that. Someone's asked, are wax melts heated by a lamp, like a light bulb, allowed? So not fire-based? I know those
think
exist
that sounds like what I might call a lava lamp.
No.
All right.
So it's like an LED bulb that radiates a little bit of heat, and then that melts like wax to make a scent. So it's not fire.
There's no flame.
There's no fire.
It's just heat.
Yeah.
Think of it like a very minor hot plate.
Yeah.
Like the tiniest hot plate you've ever seen.
I wouldn't even say it's on this level of a hot plate. Really.
Yeah, you're right.
I have a view that our fire safety officer might not go with something like that. I think there's some risk applied to that. However,
I think if you bring it and you ask accommodation, hey, is this allowed?
I get what you're saying. So the kind of things that are where these kind of things could cause a problem is if something accidentally falls on them. So can you place it on a plate? Can you make sure that plate is separate from lots of things around it? And I think that if we do then observe it and we do have a concern, we can have a conversation about it.
Are we allowed to get packages from Amazon at accommodation?
Yes, of course you are. Just make sure that you put your full name and the correct address on the package. Otherwise, we can't identify who it belongs to. So it might be kept behind the reception until we can verify who it belongs to. But yes, just check your accommodation address and then it will be collected behind the reception. The only time that we don't accept deliveries is on a Sunday when the receptions are closed, but any other day between 9 and 5:30 we will collect the packages for you.
We also have
early days, helpful mums and dads using their Amazon account, it doesn't get to the student with your name on it.
Yes.
So the student's name needs to be on it and their accommodation location.
So more people are asking about guests staying over. Do you need to get permission for that? Do you have to sign a form?
There isn't a form. There isn't necessarily permission. You have accepted that you will accept responsibility for the actions of your guests. That's what we would talk to you about if there was a problem.
Yeah, it's all about courteousness, making sure they're not, hogging the communal space, not disturbing the rest of their housemates, and not, overstaying their welcome. Are we allowed to put any non-damaging wall decorations like a tapestry or anything?
Yeah. If we'd really like you to only pin into pin boards. We'd really like you to only use the pin boards. It might be on an inspection that somebody says this could cause a damage, and if you don't remove it, you may have a responsibility for that damage. But there are many people use those kind of decorations. The thing you need to be aware of, it doesn't need to be close or covering a smoke detector or a fire detector, or draped over a door that might impede access. So thinking safely. And if you're not sure, then again, ask us all.
Yeah. I had a tapestry in my first year and second year that I put on a pin board. So as long as it's like a non-damaging thing, I would also stay away from blue tack. That does tend to, as much as it says it's non-damaging, it does tend to leave a stain or take off a bit of the paint. So I would kind of stay away from that if best. Someone's asked, is there an age restriction on visitors?
Yes. Well, if it's a visitor who is going to stay, plainly, let's say overnight, then they have to be over the age of 18. If it's a visitor, brother, sister, who's coming to see you during the day when mum's going to take you out for Sunday lunch, then no. If we were become aware that a young person was within our buildings and we couldn't it readily identify that they were with an adult, we may well engage, but certainly not overnight, and in the company of an adult during the day is not a problem.
Is staying in accommodation for second year allowed, or do we have to find our own living space?
So we offer accommodation for students of all years of study, so you can apply right the way from a new undergrad all the way through to postgraduates, and we even have some PhD students staying with us as well. Some of the accommodation sites are only for first years, for example Signet Wharf, but returners are currently allowed at all the other accommodation sites.
Let me run through any other questions that I may have missed. I guess we can answer some of these floor questions while we're there. I'm staying at Court 1, Apartment 1. Which floor is this, and will I be sharing with 6 or 8 people?
Ground floor, 5 rooms.
Ground floor, 5 rooms. What floor is Apartment 12, Court 13?
12 is first floor, 6 rooms.
I feel like this is like a weird game of bingo. You did it.
How many floors are there in St. Mark's Building A?
7.
We should put plates in butts on this. Some people asking more about cleaners in communal areas. No, but as we've shown in our tours, there are plenty of cleaning supplies in terms of like brooms, vacuums, all that, to make sure everything is clean in that. Someone else has put, people are just asking that. Court 4, Apartment 10, please.
Floor 10, first floor, 6 rooms.
There we go. How many gateway?
Sorry, that's wrong. It's ground floor, 6 rooms.
All right. How many gateway blocks split up? I'm not sure what that means.
The gateway is split into 3 blocks, A, B, and C. And A is generally the studio apartments with access to a lounge. C are studio apartments without access to a lounge. And B is the ensuite apartments.
They're all asking now. Could you tell me how many flats are in Signet Wharf Block A, Apartment 1?
Flats, rooms.
Yeah, rooms,
Block
yeah.
A, Apartment 1-5.
5. There you go.
Ground floor. Just over there. Oh no,
Maybe
you
they'll
can't
ask
see
us
that.
to dance next.
For Lincoln Courts, where will we collect our keys?
So depending on which court you've been allocated, there is 2 designated arrival places. So you'll either be collecting it from the Signet Wharf reception, or I believe it's outside court 4.
What about Wi-Fi? How does that work?
Like this. Magic.
But like, how would people connect? You know,
Okay.
if I come
So
with a bunch of devices. How do I put them all on there?
We're just installing a new Wi-Fi service, and we've done an awful lot of work. It was provided by the university, but for lots of reasons, we've got an external company in to provide that service now. It's called Ask4, ASK number 4. When you arrive, you will see in your connectivity on your clever electrical equipment, Ask4. You just register, and you will need to register your room. It's important that you register your room, because if you ever need to use their help desk, then they know they can see the systems and do some investigations before they try and deal with any faults and things like that. So very new. Everybody's confident that it's a good, solid, stable, quick service, and you will get a little leaflet as you arrive with what I've just said. But people who are already in the buildings that have changed over, it is that you now look for the Ask4 signal.
And it's 350 MB, isn't it? I think it's the speed of the Wi-Fi is 350. Extra information there.
Yes.
Especially it helps, especially those who are gamers and that sort of thing. So you want to know how quick the bandwidth is for your devices.
How are we doing for time, team?
About 5 more minutes.
Okay.
So we're just going to answer a couple questions quick, fast. Do I have to tell anyone that I'm bringing a van for move-in day?
No, this is a really big one.
Please don't bring a trailer. Where can I find out what apartment I'm in?
So you should have received an email with the room allocation on once you have booked your arrival slot. If you've booked a flexible slot with us, or it's just not showing and you can't see us, if you send us an email to accommodation@lincoln.ac.uk, we can confirm your room allocation for you.
A lot of people asking about timetables. That's not us.
So timetables you'll get closer to the time. Do not worry. When you arrive, you'll be given your timetables. How does it work on Blackboard?
Okay, so actually, this was a bit tricky, especially for international students, because it's not something that's really broken down for us. Everyone just kind of assumes we know, but we don't know. So it's once you've gone through the process of being accepted, and after the process of exception, you do registration, which is a huge part of the process when you first move here. Once everything's in and the academics department says yes, and the finance department says yes, you paid everything, all of that's done, then you will have access to your Blackboard with the same email and password that you've been using to access everything, to sign in and see the timetable. And there literally will be a button that says timetable on it. Now, when is it available? That changes every year.
Yeah, you will get it at most about a week before everything starts. If there are any issues with that, there are a lot of like on-campus things that you could go to. I know last year I had a bit of an issue and they sorted it for me within like 12 hours. So I would say about a week before at the very max. I'm not sure about when exactly they're all rolling out. I know there's quite a lot of stuff going on with clearing and things. So do be patient.
And if you do have any issues with enrollment, timetable, anything like that, do go to the Student Support Centre. They are in the Minerva building, but obviously you can contact them online as well, and they'll be able to support you with that as well.
I know that especially during Freshers Week, they have a bunch of stalls everywhere. not just in their main office that you go to year round. So don't worry if there's any kind of issues, like if your timetable looks a bit funny, I'm sure that they can help you with that. Unfortunately, we do not have time to tell everybody what floor they're on. I'm sure that you can email accommodation if that's something you necessarily need to know.
If you email us at accommodation@lincoln.ac.uk, we can let you know all of the information. For example, I'm not going to promise which view it faces because we don't always know, but we can tell you what floor and how many rooms, etc., etc.
Yes. We're about to wrap up now, so any questions that we haven't answered right now, you can email accommodation, as well as ResLife is always here to answer those questions. Cool.
Make sure to follow our Instagram, which is, and our social media in general, Uni Lincoln ResLife, to keep up to date with the lounge room and everything we do, how you can contact us, especially all the events we've got planned. We do lots of events throughout the year, from quiz nights to bingo to pizza nights to everything. And make sure when you've got the email for your allocation to go through the link in the introduction to the Facebook groups. And within those Facebook groups, we'll double check them, but they should all actually have charts of apartment and which floor it is. So we'll make sure to check them tonight. But if you have any further questions, accommodation, or ask us as well, and we'll find out from accommodation those information.
And do be patient with accommodation. I see some people have said that they have emailed. They have a lot of emails to run through. A lot of people asking all sorts of different questions, whether they can move this, move that, what's this, what's that. So do be patient with them, and I'm sure that they can get back to you as soon as they can. Someone's asked, do all courts have a wet room?
Yes.
So yeah.
Unless it's a non-ensuite
Yeah.
apartment, where that sometimes does have a shower fitting tray.
Okay. I'd say that's about all the questions that we can answer for now. Do remember that you can ask any questions throughout the year. So if you don't remember anything now, if you remember something like 3 months' time and you need an answer, you can email or message about that as well. So yes, we're going to wrap that up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this live. Hopefully we answered most of your questions, if not all of them. And please do remember to follow us at UOL Student Life on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We have a website where we have blogs and things, YouTube as well, if you're watching this on YouTube. We are making videos for students by students. You'll see quite a few videos by myself there. Trying to help you get settled in to uni, especially as a fresher, but also for people postgraduate throughout the year. We let you guys know any kind of information that is going on with the uni. And also follow ResLife.
Uni Lincoln ResLife. And again, like I said, please do follow it to keep it up to date with everything we've got planned for moving. Both the support side, you'll be able to see our email and phone number, but also for the events, a lot of exciting plans we've got, and also some competitions in Freshers Week. So if you want to win some good prizes, keep an eye on our Instagram.
Yes. Okay. Thank you guys so much
Thank
for
you.
watching. Bye.